technology aside, how is your day going out there?
It's going slowly, proper.
Those sound like lessons learned. See what I did there? Okay. Congratulations on this album. And I was thinking about this before. I've seen you live in 4 different projects. Obviously, STP, Hollywood Vampires, Kings of Chaos, Delta Deep. You never stopped making music. Like, even when you're in a band that's selling millions of records, you always have a side thing going on, which is incredible. So how long did it take for Lessons Learned to come together?
Oh, it seems like a lifetime, but it's been really over the past 2 or 3 years of having all that time to really, it allowed us all to kind of really rethink life.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of life came my way. So usually when that happens, I retreat to my best friends, my instruments, and that's really what it was all about. Is finding solace in those instruments. They speak to me, and it's amazing what they bring to every musician's life. Whether it be piano or guitar or anything. It's a great gift that I'd never take for granted.
Some of the songs on the album were done with one of my favorite singers and songwriters, Jimmy Necco from the band Hours. When you were writing with Jimmy, did you know that this was for a solo album, or was it just a creative exercise at that point?
It was intentional as a solo album. I went to Jimmy, and I knew when I wrote that song, Love Is Not Made of Gold was written by me musically, and I was running out of lyrical ideas. And I went to another singer who I adore, is Pete Shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Sings Big Sky Woman and Put Aside Your Sorrows. Pete is a brilliant lyricist too, and he did the lyrics for Love Is Not Made of Gold. Those lyrics are so touching.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always that thing where with musicians, you have to put down your ego. And it's always uncomfortable to go to someone and say, and someone as great as Jimmy, to say, Jimmy, do you mind singing this melody that I have and these lyrics that Pete has? And he was so gracious in doing that, and really felt it. I'm actually editing the video for the song right now, and to see, first to hear Jimmy sing this idea you have, it really blew me away. And now to see him expressing himself visually with that song, and to see his face and how he's singing someone else's lyrics, it takes incredible amount of of no ego, to be egoless, to do this. And he just did such a beautiful job on that song.
10 songs.
There's another way of saying, yeah.
Well, 10 songs on the album. How many did you write to get it down to 10?
It was 10. It was definitely, these are the ones that I didn't have any extras. There were no extras. This was the record. I knew this was going to be the record, and I consciously made these songs this journey. It's a journey.
I ask it because I'm sure, as somebody who's survived A&R hell many times over, and now you're at the point of your career where you call the shots. You go, this is good enough. This is what I'm doing. Back in the day, I'm sure you had to write 30 to 40 songs to get it to the 10 or 12 and made the album.
STP never did that. We always did the same thing. We just, which song was the special song. And we didn't ever have really any throwaways or any extras. It's always been that way. And that's kind of what I did, is instead of having all these ideas and kind of pooping out all these songs, it never was that. It never was that. It was always, let's take this song, let's make it the greatest song it can be. And that kind of simplified the process a bit, and to me made the songs, made them their own thing,
When you're being creative in terms of writing, do you do a full sketched out demo before you track it in the studio, like for the album or final version?
No, just go in, put a mic up, and start recording. It's I have all that in my head. I
Mhm.
have the incredible gift or curse of having music going through my brain constantly. It wakes me up at night. I actually have dreams of writing symphonies
Hmm.
for real. And I'll wake up and I wish I could just put a recorder in my ear or up my nose or in my mouth, and it could record what my brain is writing when I'm sleeping. It's incredible.
Reading liner notes growing up, when I look at the albums you played on, you obviously just you didn't just play bass. You'd look at it and go, Robert DeLeo, bass, acoustic guitar, 12 string, backing vocals, keyboards. Like you were always doing a lot more than the everyday person realized. When you're writing, does it start on acoustic guitar?
All the time. Every time it starts on acoustic. That is the main instrument, and it could be different ones. It's just a matter of, that's the joy I get out of writing, is being able to pick up different instruments. And that's my couch guitar right there. That's a nylon string guitar.
Right.
And all these instruments, they fascinate me. They still fascinate me, you know 40 years later. It's a fascination that I have. And writing and arranging is a fascination I have. And each one of these instruments has a different meaning, a different voice to a song. That's the beauty of music.
I remember reading an interview that you did maybe 10 years or so ago, where you were talking about how you were refocusing your bass playing, about studying James Jamerson's bass lines. So, was that what got you back into loving playing bass again? Or are you the kind of person that's always learning all the time?
I'm always learning. I'm always learning. There's so many bass players that I love. And it's really what fits the song.
Mhm.
James Jamerson, I never really studied him. I grew up listening to him, and it was a part of my DNA from when I was a little kid. I can remember, listening to AM radio, walking, a little one of those little AM radios
Mhm.
when I was 3, and hearing, Bernadette by the Four Tops, and
Yeah.
which is one of my favorite bass lines, or I Was Made to Love Her by Stevie Wonder, and going, wow, what and who is that? It's always that thing when your mouth drops, and it's a, I guess, do you acquire that, or are you just born with that, to
Nature
have
and
that?
nurture. Yeah, I don't
Yes,
know. But
yes.
but you specifically, it always confused me because you were a Black Flag fan, yet you like the Motown stuff. What made you want to pick up bass in the first place?
I think, like every bass player, you're forced to. you're you're the guy who goes, here, play bass. But I'm 6'2". I've got big paws, and I felt comfortable playing bass. It felt comfortable to me. Um, and I like what it represented in the band. It allowed me to, you can make, and it's like any instrument, you can make what you want out of that instrument. And I tried to make the most I could out of it. But I was put in that position of, here, you play bass. So,
Zappa used to say the bassist was the failed guitarist, which I don't think that's fair because there's a lot of bands where clearly the best musician in the band is the bass player, or the second best is that. So did you start off with punk rock and then you got into the Motown and the funk, or Motown funk and then the punk rock?
oh, I got into, I was the youngest in the family, so having older parents and a lot of step and half and sisters and brothers, there
Mhm.
was so much going on in my household. I kind of discovered punk when I got into high school. Actually, when I got into the end of middle school, the Ramones were pretty much the first punk rock and one of the most important punk rock bands.
Yeah.
How could you not like what someone was doing like the Ramones? They were writing catchy 1.5 minute songs.
Right.
It was perfect ear candy for being a sexually frustrated, young boy growing into a man. I mean, it represented a lot.
Well, one thing I've never been able to figure out about you, going back to the whole Jersey thing. My wife's originally from Belmar, Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
Matt Pinfield's book talked about how you and your brother got the demo tape to the radio station that Pinfield was at. Okay, when did you leave the Jersey Shore and the whole Jersey experience behind?
I left that in 1984, and I went to California in '84 after I graduated high school. So it was places like the Fast Lane and Asbury Park, and playing Dean and I playing in our cover band at the Stone Pony. And I was in high school. I went to high school, and then I went home for a little bit. I went back to my high school, and I was a janitor at my high school. So
you and Kurt Cobain both have that in common there.
So I went to school from 8 to 2:30, ran home, got something to eat, went back from 3 to 7, and then I would play from 10 to 2, doing 4 sets a night at bars. So I can't say I was the most studious person in the school, but I learned a lot. I learned a lot about the nighttime, the nightlife.
So if
Yeah.
you were around then, that means that you were contemporary of Bon Jovi.
Bon Jovi was around when it was BONGIOVI.
Oh, Bon Jovi, yeah.
Bon Jovi. So yeah.
So then you would also be a contemporary of Diamond Dallas Page?
Diamond Dallas Page. Don't know who that is.
Oh, famous professional wrestler who's from Point Pleasant, who was booking some of the clubs out there before he became a wrestler.
Oh, so we grew up with Bam Bam Bigelow.
There you go.
Yes. Yes.
So that's so fascinating to me that you came out of the scene with that, yet nobody lumps you in with all that. Nobody goes, for the most part, hey, that's a punk rock guy or a cover band guy. You kind of got your fresh start in LA in the early 90s.
Yeah, we weren't around that much playing covers. We were around for about 1.5 years, 2 years, and then I was graduated high school and really trying to figure out what to do with my life. At 18 years old and being a young man, who really knows what they're doing with their life? I just wanted to have fun. Going from New Jersey to California was like going to Mars. It really was, and was such a different experience.
Right.
Yeah.
So back to lessons learned. With the album being done and coming out in the last week, are you already thinking about the next album, or was that just a fun experiment of one solo album?
No, I've got more to say. I've got about 5 other songs written. I've got more to say. So we'll see what happens. Getting on stage with STP and putting a bass on and playing loud music I feel blessed. It's a great part of my life that I love expressing. And we're back doing it. The past couple of years were not, it was very unforgiving for artists and musicians, and
Right.
specifically touring musicians. So we've started tours, and someone got COVID and went home, and it's not fun to start something that you can't finish.
Right. So more to come from Stone Temple Pilots, more solo albums are possible. And we kind of never know when you're going to pop up as a producer or a sideman on like a Bees album or something like that. Are you hoping to do more session stuff in the future?
Yes. I just did some bass work on a new Ian Hunter record.
Wow.
Yeah.
Rock and Roll Hall of Famer Ian Hunter.
Just like, he's still great. Great, and just a huge part, Mott the Hoople, and such a great part of my childhood and exciting part of my childhood. Played some bass on Billy Gibbons' last solo record too. Through got to thank Matt Sorum for that, for hooking that up. But yeah, it's just music. Just being surrounded by music is really a great thing. It's a blessing.
Well, down to the last two questions here, and then I'm going to let you go. The first one is, you've always managed to be mysterious in a way and let the music do all the speaking. And like, where does Robert DeLeo live? We don't know. What does he watch on TV? We have no idea. So putting that aside, is there a business or a side hustle or a company or anything that you have aside from music?
No,
There's no tequila, there's no vodka, nothing like that?
No. I've thought about it through the years, but you know, I enjoy my leisure time. I enjoy my leisure time, and that is usually being outdoors and fishing. That's really what I appreciate, is nature. So getting out in nature is maybe, if I could bottle that and sell that, maybe the world would be a better place, you know?
Last question I got for you. Do you have a TV recommendation, a show that you're watching at the moment that more people should be checking out besides Lesson Learned in video form?
You know, I'm kind of hooked on this show called Alone. And I think what it shows and what it represents to me is the human spirit, and how much you can take, and what you finally at the end realize about yourself. And I think that's kind of what Lessons Learned, the record, means to me.
Well,
yeah.
Congratulations on this album. I hope there's more to come, whatever the project is. Robert, thank you for the decades of great music, and looking forward to seeing you live in New York in the near future.
Thank you for listening, and thank you for letting me be here.
Paltrocast.